So when I was in high school, my teacher said there's two things that taught him more than his college education. One of them was the metronome, and two was playing live. Playing live music is one of the most important things you can do as a musician, and to be frank, like if you're playing music for a living, then that's where you're getting your money from. And despite me being really hungry to play and really wanting to make some music, when I was younger, I really didn't know how to go about booking gigs. Now that I'm older, I've sort of figured a way out and I have been booking myself some gigs, and I thought I'd share some of that information with you. I just want to disclaim that I'm by no means like any kind of like talent seeker or like booking agent or anything like that, and I like did not take any professional classes. This is just my experience about what I found that works, and I wanted to share all that process and what went into all this stuff. And if you're looking to book things like European tours, I'm not exactly sure if this is the right way to approach that. This is more aiming towards like your baby's first gigs type of thing. And really just kind of like booking things at a local level. You could technically use some of these strategies to start booking tours, but I've never personally done that myself, so I can't give you an answer to that. But anyway, I'm going to share with you my process of booking gigs. I'm Nick, I'm a Brooklyn-based musician if you haven't seen me before, and today we're going to be talking about how to book gigs as an independent musician. So throughout this video, I'm just going to give you 5 steps that you need to follow. It's a lot really self-explanatory, but I feel like having some kind of guide really helps you out in booking these gigs. So the first thing is to have a set list / some kind of idea of how long you want your set to be. This is important for a bunch of different reasons, but you definitely want to have enough material to cover the whole gig. Like for example, if a restaurant asks you to play a 3-hour set and you only have 30 minutes of tunes, it's going to be hard to learn 2.5 hours of music right before the gig, which usually comes up pretty soon. So definitely have an idea of how long, and when you're pitching to venues, mention that. Say I'm looking to do one set or something like that. I have a 45-minute set of originals and stuff like that. Or even just know the repertoire. Like, for example, for me, I usually pitch that we do original music, we do jazz standards, we do Beatles / Nirvana / whatever kind of cover songs, but it's all instrumental and improvisational based. And then once you have that figured out, I would go on to the second thing, which is have some professional sounding demos. And by that, I mean, don't have it sound like you recorded it on a potato. Now, these potato videos are great. You know, it's good to have, especially videos that your friends took of you that they shared to social media, because that means that your music resonated with them and they connected with them on some level. But when you're booking a venue, it kind of shows that you didn't really invest the time or money into this. Now, I understand that not everyone has the budget to get like really professional sounds, and honestly, what's professional is kind of arbitrary. But you want some kind of clarity in your sound, and basically you want to prove to the venue that you take yourself seriously enough to get yourself some quality videos. When I was starting out, I definitely did not have enough money to record in a studio or anything like that, but I found ways to make it work. Like for example, trying to hook up with some like music tech students at a local university or college or something like that, and maybe they need some stuff for a portfolio. In that way, you're giving some kind of mutual exchange. Like you get a portfolio piece with a real band, and I get this, which I can then promote and use for gigs and stuff like that. There was a critique video that Adam Neely released a while ago that I was actually featured on, but he talks about this technique of basically having everyone take their phones and put it near their instrument, and everyone voice recording that, and then from that you're going to get a nice stereo recording with a bunch of different mics. That'll already provide you a lot more clarity than having one phone set up, and most people already have a phone, so it's really low budget. And these days iPhones have really good quality, so like you can definitely get some stuff done. You can also get like a Zoom recorder for like $100 and put that in the room. It's not going to sound as good as if you have like multi-mic stuff, but it'll work. I have a video that I did a while back on how to record trio on a budget, so if you need some ideas, you can watch that and it might inspire you, who knows. You could also look on YouTube for basic like mixing and mastering tutorials. I learned mixing by myself and now I do it professionally, so like it's definitely learnable. There's a lot of like finance YouTube kind of things where they say like you can either trade time or money, and actually it kind of makes sense to me. But anyway, the third step is two-layered. For one, it's find the venues. So just kind of generally knowing what places have live music, or if a place doesn't have live music, could they have live music? But that gets into a little tricky area because every area has their own like ordinances, and like you need a permit to serve live music and stuff like that. The same way that a restaurant might need a liquor license. So definitely the way I would approach it is make a list of all the venues that you could maybe possibly play at. And some good candidates are places where you've seen your friends play at, or you've seen people you look up to play at. But also, like, don't try to steal people's gigs, because that's really not cool and that's going to come bite you later. Like, for example, if a venue has music 7 nights a week and 3 bands per night, like, Reaching out to a venue where your friend played isn't really going to steal their gig because there's like plenty of space. But if it's like once a week they have music and this person's been doing it for 10 years, like don't try to undercut them and don't try to shark them. Like just be genuine about it, you know? And then the second part of this is to investigate the venues. Like check out what kind of music they have. If you're like an indie singer-songwriter and they only have like thrash metal, like you're not going to do well in that venue and they're probably not going to respond to your email. But think about it like this. Venue owners or booking agents or whatever are also a business, and restaurants need people to survive, really. I mean, if there's anything we learned from the COVID pandemic is like we really need people to eat at restaurants or the restaurants will go under, as you've seen all across the world. So if the venue slash restaurant or whatever the business is brings in a certain crowd and the crowd likes a certain type of music and your music is the polar opposite of that, like the chances of them liking your music are really slight and you're not going to get a good turnout. And for you, that's going to be really demoralizing. Like, oh no, no one showed up to my gig. I must be a bad musician. The music must be terrible, etc., etc. No, it's not that. It's just like it's not the right crowd. You need to put your music in front of the right people in order for your music to succeed. So that's a really important thing, is to check out what kind of music these venues do and would your music be a good fit for that. Definitely think really hard about this one because I've done something like this and it was really terrible and the venue owners were really pissed at me. So I didn't like that. It was not a good vibe. But I learned my lesson and I'm teaching it to you guys so you don't make the same mistake. So the fourth thing is to get your EPK ready. So EPK stands for Electronic Press Kit. I'm not sure that it's really that relevant to mention the E part anymore because most things are electronic, and I think that was kind of like an early 2000s thing. But yeah, get yourself some kind of press kit. And essentially what that is basically like showing the venue that I can do things and I can do things well and you won't be disappointed. From what I understand, a lot of venue booking agents don't actually listen to all the way through of all your songs, and they're not also looking for the most amazing performance ever. They're not looking to be starstruck unless you're trying to play like Madison Square Garden, in which case you need a booking agent anyway, and you probably can't do that independently. But anyway, basically the venue owners are really looking for, do they sound good? Is this going to be chaos? Is this going to work? And can they get through a song without messing up? You know, it's a lot of these kind of things, and they'll listen to just a few seconds of it. So just like kind of do something brief. When I started doing this, I was like, more information the better. Here's a 12-song press kit, and I wasn't getting responses because, of course, like, you're getting an unsolicited email from some kid who's like, hey, check out all of my music that I've ever written. And, like, you don't have time to do that. You probably get a lot of emails as a booking agent or venue owner or restaurant owner or whatever. So this is where your good recordings come into play. You can actually check out my current press kit in my website. It's njroos.com/press-kit. You can also find that in the description. But you can check that out, and you know that's the link I'm going to be sending to people. It's changing all the time, so no matter what point in time you see this, like it'll still be relevant, hopefully, as long as I stay relevant. But the way I structured mine is that you have two quotes. So I have one from the great Alex Sipiagin, trumpet player. So it's like, okay, cool. He has some kind of credibility from a great musician who plays lots of festivals and amazing gigs. Great, we got that done. Then I have a press quote from Berlin on Air about my album Rest Unrest, at least at the time of filming this. But it's like, okay, cool. Like a non-musician, a newspaper said this about this person. Great, awesome. Then currently what I have is basically like a Spotify link for my recent album, which will give like 30-second previews. I kind of think that's fine. Then I have a picture that's like nicely taken, again, no potato phone, with like my little bio. And then I have a EPK thing where I have 5 different songs of contrasting instrumentation and different things. Then underneath that, I have a few videos of mostly live performances, but I think currently I have one that's a studio performance. But it's basically like, hey, look, we've done this before. We can do it again. And like, it won't be a total disaster. Here's my proof. And then I have my releases because I feel like having albums out is some kind of credibility thing. It's like, oh, they care about their music enough to put this album out. So I feel like that helps. And then I have a new addition, which is my calendar. And that kind of just like shows what my availability in the future is. I don't know that anyone actually checks that, and I don't really know if there's a way of checking who checks that. But yeah, that's something that I thought was a good idea. But the idea is to keep it kind of brief, pretty simple. Like, people are busy and they don't have time to go through a lot of stuff. Give them all the information they need as concisely as possible. And then the 5th step is to reach out and negotiate terms. So basically, send an email, be like a real person, be like, hey, I hope you're doing well in these troubling times. Like, don't just like ignore the fact that we've just been through a global pandemic. Acknowledge that, be a real person, be nice. If you have a name to address, that's amazing too. because it shows that you've done some of your research. People will tend to care about you more if they can tell that you've put in the work and made their lives a little easier. And to that effect, if you can give a bunch of specifics, like for example, what day you're looking for, or what time you're looking for, and stuff like that, if you can kind of package it in a way that like all they have to do is say okay, and then you play and then it works out, that's the best approach, really, because then it's less work for them. No one wants to be solicited by a stranger and then have to put in some work in addition to that. Like, most people want to just kind of have everything that they need and just sign off on it. That's what like a lot of executives and companies do, and that's why that's like a sought after thing, is because it's like very little hassle, I think. I don't really know. I'm not a CEO of a company, so I couldn't tell you, but I don't know. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But anyway, some things you might want to include is what kind of group you are. Like, are you a solo artist? Are you like a band? And like, if you've done the research and like it's a smaller venue, you might want to say, hey, we're a 5-piece band, but we can be a 3-piece, or I can do a solo act kind of thing. And just really make sure that like you give them options that make sense. And again, they just really want to see that you can put on a great show or concert or whatever, or background music, anything like that. Okay, so when I recorded this video, I recorded a bonus tip that I'm about to talk about, but actually there's one bonus tip that I really forgot to include that's like really specific and kind of annoying that I used to do. I used to be like, oh, I'm a great guitarist, and basically to kind of talk myself up and talk about how good I am as a musician and stuff like that, or like, I went to school, I go to FIU. But like, they don't care about that. They want to hear the music. Like, and for me, at least now, when I hear someone talk about themselves like that, I'm like, okay, they're not really that great, because if they have to talk about that, their music doesn't show that. So I would definitely err on the side of caution when talking yourself up to venue owners in your email. And then the final bonus tip is rehearse the music, make it sound good, make sure you show up on time. All the good stuff that you do is a good person doing good things. Don't make the venue owner upset or anyone upset, to be like honest, and just play a great show. Invite your friends. Inviting your friends is a really crucial element, or anyone like your fans or anyone who likes to see you. If you bring people to that person's establishment, that means that they're going to consume something. So if it's a venue, maybe they'll like buy tickets, or they will buy beer or drinks or like food or whatever the kind of thing. But really, like, the more people there, the more they will consume, the more profit the restaurant makes, the more likely they are to ask you back. And this isn't also just restaurants, it's all venues and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very important. But anyway, that's my spiel for today. Now, if you've watched this and you're like, oh, this is so many steps, I have such a headache, I don't even want to play live anymore, you might want to check out my video on why playing live music is important as a musician. And I talk about some of the benefits to playing live and how it makes you a better musician. But anyway, that's about all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. If you've enjoyed this, like, subscribe, dislike, I don't know, leave a comment. But anyway, thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.